Welcome back to Opria's Open Mic. Go ahead and say it. We all know Sean's dumb. Okay. But this is... Mute him. We have a very special guest. You guys have heard me talk about her on my Instagram before. This is Dr. Naomi Paschall.
Hi there.
She is the freaking best. And we are going to dive into, I mean, she does a lot, like literally a lot. But today...
Just like you.
I know, right? We're like, our minds are all over the place. But she's a freaking genius and is helping me so much. But she's helped so many of you guys as well on our Every Woman Challenge. But today we're diving into weight gain on menopause and perimenopause, which is a topic that so many women are struggling with.
So excited about today. I'm excited. This is going to be good stuff. You know what I mean? Happy wife, happy life kind of stuff. This is the moment. Yeah. So the next episode's going to be happy dude, don't be rude episode.
Not happening.
Well, Sean, you're absolutely right. You know, and for so many, I mean, we don't have to live in the dark anymore about the changes in life. You just got to address it appropriately and not be in denial and just go get checked out quickly because there are easy things that can be done.
It doesn't have to be miserable, right?
No.
Do you think that you can go through, if you're in tune with what's going on with your body and you're checking with your doctor and you're checking with your hormone levels, do you think you can actually go through perimenopause and menopause and not gain a bunch of weight and not feel miserable?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But so perimenopause usually happens at midlife and in the 40s, basically. It's about 5 to 7 years where you'll start seeing a bunch of symptoms that starts happening. So irregular period, mood changes, hot flashes. You don't have to have any of them. Some women have minimal.
Some women's husbands go, girl, you be crazy.
Right.
Big symptom.
And want to send them into rehab. Seriously. I mean, years ago.
Really?
When women got, menopause, that's why they would take their uterus out because they were hysterectomy. No, but the mood changes. I'm just joking there.
That was like a solve.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I mean, we've come a long way, baby. All right, we really have.
Hey, it's still an option.
And you don't have to enter menopause miserable because there's so many things right now. Number one, what's happened is women's health is dominated by females who are looking at this stuff and saying, this isn't right. And they are going beyond, they're listening to women more, and they're doing better research to try to give us answers for this. So you may have a lot of symptoms coming on. The key, some women may just have weight gain, and especially the ones that are working out like Erin all day long. You haven't done anything different in your diet. You're exercising the same. Why am I not losing weight? So if that's your situation, you need to go find a doctor that will check you and look at this. And really what happens in the perimenopause, the progesterone is the first thing that starts dropping, and that affects your sleep cycle. The sleep cycle affects your moods.
Okay, is there a test that tells you if you're in perimenopause?
Blood work.
So if they were to go to their doctor, what is the test that they need to ask for?
They need to ask for FSH, which is follicle stimulating hormone that comes from the pituitary, and luteinizing hormones. Those are the two hormones that change throughout the month that will cause you to ovulate and cause you to have a period. Those are the things. And there's a ratio with those. When the ratio changes, and some people say you got to check it throughout the month. No. A good gynecologist can figure this out just from one test.
Because I went in and had all my blood work done, and you said, yes, you came back and I am in perimenopause.
I look at the ratio. The ratio of your FSH to LH was different. The LH was about a little bit higher than the FSH. That should be reversed no matter where in the cycle you are. And then you look at the progestin. The progestin starts being a little bit lower, and that's what causes the period to be irregular.
The progesterone.
Progesterone.
That's a hard word to say.
Progesterone, yes. Progesterone, which you produce from the ovary for 14 days from ovulation until there is a pregnancy, or if there's no pregnancy, it flushes out. That's it. So when that ratio changes, it triggers the body that, estrogen's going to stop at some point. So the body looks for different tissues to make estrogen, and it so happens to want to use fat cells. So the metabolism in the fat cells change. The fat cells start acting like they're insulin resistant, pre-diabetic.
Okay, wait, hang on.
Hang on.
So you're saying that part of the spare tire and the weight gain that you're getting during perimenopause and menopause, and you've changed nothing. Your eating's the same, your workouts are the same, everything's the same. It's your fat cells act different.
Yes.
Let's break that down.
Okay.
How do they act different?
They're responding differently to insulin. Insulin is a hormone. It's produced by the pancreas, and you might have associated insulin with type 1 diabetes. Okay. But type 2 diabetes also can be related to insulin, where the receptors where the insulin works doesn't work as well. That's the change. It starts to get rusty like an old lock.
That's why a lot of the symptoms happen to be like type 2 diabetes.
Correct.
Okay, but this isn't like a scapegoat, right? Like if you're not eating healthy and doing healthy things, you can't just change it by
no.
Doing this
and one of the things, you'll gain less weight. Okay. Yeah. And if you're actively working out like Erin, you can go into the perimenopause with little weight gain because you're working out 5 hours a day and you're eating all the right things and you're not ignoring your diet and you're including the right protein. You're not including a bunch of carbs and you're eating them at the right times a day.
That was the big thing that you and I had talked about previously is your body doesn't process the carbs the same as you start hitting. So that's why what you've always done doesn't work the same as it always has, because your body doesn't process the carbs the same way, even if they're clean carbs. And why is that?
Well, because the machinery that usually works for the carbs, it's reprogrammed now because of the ovaries. And the same thing happens when you're pregnant. So the body goes back to a system it already knew. That's why men and women, as they age, men can eat whatever they want unless they have a horrible diet. Yeah, they're going to gain weight.
They can eat whatever they want.
They have testosterone.
That provides a lot of hate toward men.
It does, but let's get real. Like
we get a lot of men that are 45, they're overweight. They're not. They're eating whatever they're. Yeah, I know.
Diet.
You said that they can eat whatever they want.
But women, even with their diet being clean, you still kind of get that spare tire. I haven't. I've been pretty lucky and haven't hit that. But my eating, I tweaked my eating because I cut my carbs back.
The first thing you're gonna do is have somebody hopefully eat better, not like give them a drug for this.
Right.
Like
diabetic, most women want to fix
perimenopause.
Easy. Yeah. Right. But remember, this came on, especially if you're way overweight. You didn't change your diet, and
I think that's key.
The weight's going to stack up and you're not as active.
It's harder to maintain the muscle. It's harder to lose the weight, but you are trying.
You aren't trying. That's right. And your lifestyle change. Okay. And we're sitting more. We're at the computer more. We're inside more. We're not going out there.
That's true. You were at the computer for the first time in a decade, literal decade yesterday.
I haven't touched a computer.
Really?
First time I ever. I was like,
she
how do I go on an inbox?
FaceTime,
What's
and
that?
she needed to find out where the inbox of the email was.
Oh my gosh.
I was losing my brain. Yeah, so she's about to get fat. She's sitting at a desk, not doing anything. It's starting. It's starting.
Whatever. But I actually just posted the other day was sitting is the new smoking, because it literally is. Because
that's actually great.
We spend more time sitting than moving, when really your break should be sitting from your movement. Instead, our break is movement from our sitting. It's opposite of what it should be.
You've been saying that for years.
But I have been saying that, but I just put it out. But
no, you're right.
It is true. Right. But so say we're going to go to an example of nobody has changed anything. They've been eating healthy. They've been working out. I hear this all the time on Instagram. Same thing. I still work out. I still eat the same thing. And now all of a sudden I'm gaining weight. Is that their estrogen dropping?
Well, it's the progesterone that drops first. And that balance, when it drops, is it triggers the fat cells on the insulin receptor. As you go on more to it, the estrogen will drop. The estrogen shoots up first, and that's why you get all the first. Right. That's why you get all the hot flashes and all the stuff that goes on with it. And then as that body starts picking up that it's going down, because you need estrogen for maintenance of the bone. Because if the bone breaks, bone fractures, that can be devastating.
That's what milk is for.
Right. But
I'm wrong.
If it's calcium, that's right. Well, Sean's got a good point there.
But you do need calcium.
Right.
And weight training.
Right. But that's how you maintain bone, weight training. But estrogen is actually prevention for osteoporosis. So.
Heck yeah.
So when that drops, that's another big problem. But if you have the muscle mass and you've been doing strength training, putting your bones under pressure.
Pressure, that's correct.
That is why it helps.
It helps, that's right.
Even though your estrogen is dropped.
Right. So the pressure on the bone stimulates the cells in the bone. It's called osteoblasts to turn over.
I'd heard something along those lines that runners have some of the densest bones because of that impact. Is that related?
Right. It's because they're stimulating. They're stimulating the cells. Okay.
So you're saying people that bike are weak and like, bikers have weak bloodlines and they're weak and the weak bones kind of hollow.
Yeah.
All right. So with the fat cells not being the same, is that why the carbs? Yeah. The carbs
you have to go down
because you cannot.
You're going
to store it.
You're going to store it. Correct.
You're going to store it more. Okay.
And either your activity has to overshoot what your intake is, or your intake of the carbs needs to go down.
But it's so important to take in the protein.
That is very, very important. Struggle. And one of the things I've actually seen, and we talked about this in one of your other series, is the types of food that we eat. The whole food chain has been changed in the last 25 to 30 years, where the word that we use is pro-inflammation. So a lot of our processed food.
So as in like not inflammation is good, but thoughts about what you're eating and how it causes inflammation.
Correct.
Is pro-inflammation mindset.
Right. So one easy thing, if you can look at the package and you can't pronounce the stuff, there's a bunch of preservatives in there, that your body can't process. It doesn't know what to do with it.
And so that does not translate into preserving yourself.
No.
Because I eat a lot of frozen foods, and I was thinking, no?
That's why the goal is to shop on the outskirts of the grocery store for the majority of your foods. So I don't do starches at night. I still do them. I eat them early in the day, and I eat the clean ones. And so when you say starches and complex carbs, so a complex carb is broccoli, but also a complex carb is oatmeal or
sweet potato.
Like those are complex carbs too. So a starchy complex carb would be the oatmeal, the potato, sweet potato, things like that. They're still healthy. Quinoa,
even rice.
But eat them earlier in the day, because if you eat them later in the day, your body will store them. You either use them as these are your energy source. Yeah. Use them or store them. So I like to eat my starches earlier in the day, so I don't store them. And then at evening, I still eat a complex carb, but my complex carb is a non-starchy one. It's more like a broccoli or a big salad with a protein on top, things like that. So I go more towards the leaner protein and a complex carb, a non-starchy complex carb in the evening. And I've had huge success with that. But I still, just because I do the healthy starchy complex carbs during the day, it doesn't mean I overeat them. I'm very particular about my portion size on starches. So oatmeal, I used to eat 2, sometimes 3 servings in the morning. Now I'm very strict. It's 1. Sometimes I don't have any, but usually 1 serving. That's it. And it's really helped. And berries, like fruit. What's your thoughts on fruit?
I think fruit's always good. Fresh fruits are always going to be better. Stick to the serving size versus, so an apple is going to be better than drinking.
Juicing it.
Correct.
Because you lose the fiber and so if you were to eat an apple, you hear an apple a day keeps the doctors away. Well, you eat an apple, has a complex carb, it has the protein or has the fiber and the sugar, right?
Right, so, and the sugar is much less than if you were to juice, because if you're juicing, you're getting the calories of 10 apples versus 1.
That's exactly. So it's not that it's less sugar per apple. It's the same sugar, which is about 26 grams of sugar per apple. But when you juice it, you juice more than one. So you lose the fiber, which is a good part, and you just get the sugar out of it. So you're looking at sometimes 3 apples in one. Would you ever sit and eat 3 apples? I mean, that's 77, 78 grams of sugar in a juice with 3 apples.
Runners would, but weak people like bikers would not eat 3 apples.
But all right, so here's another subject I want to touch on, because when I get asked about a lot, and it is big out there, there's a lot of negative stigmatism, there's a lot of positive stigma. There's both. It is the weight loss shot. Now, I am learning great things about it from you. I've seen people have amazing results. I've seen people abuse it and have terrible results. They gained the weight back immediately after they went off it.
Or they were on it, and I don't know what portion they were taking, but they were sick for days and days.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Yes. And so one of the things I've seen, it's gone viral on TikTok, and a lot of famous people have been on it, and they got the results they want, but you're not seeing everything else they're doing, okay? So to be effective with this, number one, you really need to see a doctor. I've seen folks go to spas. Okay. They're not drawing your blood. Okay. You got to.
Why do you need to have your blood drawn before you do it?
You need to make sure the weight gain is not from a metabolic process or an endocrine abnormality. Okay. Along with menopause, a lot of things can go out. Okay. For instance, your thyroid can act up and can confuse things that you're in menopause and when you really are having a thyroid issue. Okay. If you have a thyroid issue, you need to get that fixed.
Is there a certain test that they need to ask for? Like
well,
if they were
if you're going to a doc, they're going to check you for this. They're going to check you for insulin resistance, diabetes, early diabetes. They do. I mean, there's several blood tests you can do for that. One is a hemoglobin A1C that checks your sugars for over 34 months. The thyroid testing, you can get a screening or a full panel, and that can contribute to weight gain also. And we've talked about cortisol and stress, and yes, and we're all stressed. So
is cortisol is it just kind of a general term for stress, or is there an actual?
It's a hormone. It's an actual hormone that works. It works to regulate body. Okay, your body stressors. But I've heard people say, "Well, I want my cortisol checked." Well, cortisol is actually really hard to check to get an accurate level. So many clinics they'll do hormone checks, but to do it the right way with cortisol, you really need to have several levels drawn because your cortisol is going to change throughout the day.
Yeah. So is it lower in the morning and then spikes?
Correct.
Like when you do exercise, it spikes.
Right, but it goes back down.
It goes back down.
It goes back down.
It's supposed to go back down. There's some people that don't, right?
The most accurate type of cortisol is hair follicle to see if you're chronically stressed all the time.
No, I got a lot of good hair. Yeah.
Right. That's the best way. And like your female hormones change monthly, whereas cortisol is 24-hour.
It kind of changes every hour though through that 24 hours, right? It's not just
correct.
Can it only be checked through blood, or is there like a way
to
consistently check it throughout the day?
There are a lot of clinics that do the saliva testing, and saliva testing is not a really accurate way. I know a lot of people aren't going to like this because some of your clinics have been doing this, and it's just a false representation of what your level is. The best way is actually to get the blood hormone, okay? Because, there are some labs or clinics that are doing urine. Those are not very effective way to check your hormones. Most of the hormones are bounded to protein, okay? So if you check it, you're not going to see it. Only like 5 to 7% is free.
In the hair, in the blood.
Yes.
So is the hair check, is that almost like the rings on a tree? Because, I mean, it's been there forever.
Yes, because you've got so much that is deposited in there.
Okay.
And
can you literally map the history of cortisol in the hair?
You probably can if you do it different times. That's how we figure out.
Okay, right, it's not like you pull one hair and it's like over the length of this hair growing.
If you're chronically stressed.
You were super stressed.
Right, if you're chronically stressed for a long time, it's going to show up in the hair follicle.
Okay.
Really?
So you can kind of find the trend.
So if you're stressed just from working out, which I think was the confusion with people seeing this on TikTok, I don't want to exercise because my cortisol, right?
All the time.
Right. They're misunderstanding what it means, and they're misinterpreting what it means.
Yeah.
So obviously your cortisol goes up when you exercise.
Inflammation. There's things that make you bloated, and then you have chronic inflammation. So you're talking about chronic.
Oh, Sean, that's a great point.
Okay, so my wife calls my phone, right? My cortisol skyrockets, right? That's not chronic cortisol. No. That's my temporary cortisol because I'm pretty sure I'm about to be laid low by my wife. Okay.
Yeah. Because he didn't do what he was supposed to do.
But if
Sean has had a burst
events happen consistently throughout my days, then that's chronic cortisol.
All right, so let's get back to the shot. Let's get back to the shot. So they need to have a full panel of blood work done.
Right.
A lot of the spas aren't doing that. They just prescribe it.
Well, they don't do blood. Yeah.
Not at all? They do. Do they do any testing?
Nope.
Man, blood's gross. I wouldn't
They're
do it.
not medical. They're not.
I pass out.
They're not medical facilities.
All right. So once you have the blood work done, and then is there a certain weight that you think somebody should be overweight to do it?
You figure. I usually calculate someone's BMI, okay, and I look at their age, and then I go through their diet. Okay, what are you eating? Well, I eat healthy. What do you do? What do you eat? Tell me what you're eating. Tell me what a normal diet is. And one of my nurses is a nutritionist, and we go through like, what do you eat in a day? What are the bad things you eat? What do you
feel like people lie to you?
Yes.
Same. So I get it.
Yes. But when they come back, I usually have them back every month. If you're not doing right, you're not going to lose the weight. About the shot. The shot is, it's interesting. It's not a stimulant. It's not addictive. It's not controlled. Okay. This shot came about from years of gastric bypass, gastric banding, that they noticed that the peptides in the gut, 2 hormones, they're growth hormones. They're not female hormones. They're called ghrelin and leptin. And they control fullness and hunger. They also work on the pancreas and the liver, which are 2 areas that will control metabolism. Okay?
So the shot works on the pancreas and the liver too.
Have we talked about?
Wait, then what's the name of the shot? So
okay. There's several of them. The generic form is semaglutide. It came out. Saxenda, Victoza, Ozempic, and then there's Wegovy, which are weekly shots. And then there's a little bit different. It's called tirzepatide, and that works on a little bit more receptors. And that one is called Monjura. So usually that one is if patients aren't getting respond with the semaglutides, the tirzepatide can work. But these drugs are not without risk and side effect. And that's why you need somebody to go through your history to see if there are pancreatic cancer, parathyroid cancers. Although they're rare, you need somebody to go through that with you. Okay.
So those are the only 2 things that you can't have.
The other thing is it's called gastroparesis. It's slowing down of the gut, where you can have abdominal distension. You can have bloating for a long time, nausea, chronic vomiting. Okay. So you really need to have a medical person evaluate this. And I think people that are having all these side effects, they were not evaluated absolutely correctly. Not only that, if they gain the weight back, you didn't change the diet. You didn't do Erin's 4x4.
Because the
that's
goal.
What's hard. See, that's my girl right there.
Right?
The 4x4.
Erin Opria's 4x4 diet, available on ErinOpria.com.
Yeah.
But so I have seen people.
She didn't ask me to say that, guys.
I did
not. But she's got, honestly, getting back to diet and exercise, you've got to do a good diet and exercise. And if you cannot lose the weight through giving it a good effort, you're being honest with yourself, you're keeping up, then I think, maybe you need some prescription or pharmaceutical help. But you really need to get the diet and exercise first. And that's usually what I try to encourage people to do.
That's awesome.
Because if you don't do that, when you lose the shot, you're going to gain it right back.
And it has nothing to do with the shot. It has everything to do with your habits.
Your habit. It has to be a change of lifestyle.
Amen.
And you have to be you have to really, really be involved with your health. You need to read what you're eating. You need to look at the labels. You need to figure out what you like. And there are ways of doing that. If you like certain foods, try out alternatives that are healthier.
That's the kind of my philosophy on everything. I take everything that's unhealthy and I try to make it just, all you got to do is little tweaks. If you follow my Instagram, I have tons of, and in my book, The 4x4, I have tons and tons of recipes. And that book's all about living a healthy, balanced life.
That's so true. So. You got to take the advice of professionals. Like our marriage counselor tells you, you're doing a lot of things wrong. If you don't apply those things in your everyday life, things aren't going to change. So, I mean, take the advice of professionals. We have more sex and we have a long marriage. That's really all that.
Well, she put me on Addie, so maybe more sex might come one day.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll have to get that up.
So the shot is, the bottom line on this shot, which has a bunch of names, is not for everybody. If you're going to do it, go through a medical. You guys actually do it out of your office.
We actually do it out of our office.
What about telehealth? Can you do that?
We do telehealth, and what I do ask, we've done telehealth throughout the country with people calling after they've seen me on Erin's show, is I'll take a blood work from anywhere, and I'll do a Zoom telehealth with you. My nurse, Julie, is also there to help. And Julie's nurse practitioner. She's very well trained, 20 years. We all have been doing this stuff for years. And, we can do telehealth. We can talk to you. We can go through stuff. We can send you information, whatever. We're here to help you.
I know I've had people since one of our Instagram things that we did come back and say, she came in town to see you and is obsessed. She said that hands down, you changed her life.
It's easy to be obsessed with you. Yeah, you're really easy to talk to, and you got a lot of great knowledge.
As women are going through menopause, it's, and especially if you've been healthy, it's just this new phenomenon in your life, and not everyone is the same. And you might have insomnia, and somebody just needs to dig through, figure out what you're going on, and there is a remedy for all of it. Okay, so you don't have to go through menopause feeling miserable, no sex, overweight. Okay,
she's all of those things.
Okay, Erin's too busy. She's got to take some things off her plate.
Stop giving her excuses.
Yes.
You get out of here right now. Yeah. You leave.
So that's what I do. I take off Sean.
Yeah, but the
and
shot
anybody wants
isn't.
to do telehealth with me, you text our business line, and I will give you, I promise, some of the worst advice that you can ever have.
Okay.
I will eventually get back to you and give you horrible advice.
But the shot isn't for everybody.
It's
They
not
need to
for
be
everyone.
a certain weight, and then you. Like the ones that get sick on it, do you guys have ways? Is it
Yes,
because
we
they
do.
do too much too soon? Or?
They do too much too soon. There are things. Here's where a medical history comes in. Do you have GI problems? Do you have peptic ulcer? Do you have reflux? All these things are important.
If you have those things, do you not recommend the shot at all?
I would recommend going slowly and treating that. Okay, but if you might see profuse vomiting if you have a GI problem.
Miserable.
Okay. Yes, you're miserable.
But would you know that before you even tried?
You may not.
Your doctor would be able to tell, probably.
Your doctor would be able to tell and advise you not to do this. And there are other things that you can use. Okay. Again, I'm going to go back to diet. Okay. That is the absolute
Diet
best
is the
way.
king.
Is the king. And learning to eat clean, more from ground to plate, not
Unprocessed.
Right. Unprocessed is what I'm trying to say.
The perimeter of the grocery store.
Right. Well, our food, like I said, foods have changed so much, and we're seeing that is one of the key things that have changed in the last 30 years. All the prepackaging,
Yeah, sad.
really trying to go back and make your stuff from scratch is usually going to be healthier overall.
All right, man. We could talk forever. This has been an awesome conversation. I want to dive.
I want to bring you back. Yeah.
I know. We're going to have.
Anytime we can do menopause and go through the.
Oh, excited.
Right. When we can. Oh, Sean's all excited.
No, I'm here. I'm here for it.
Well,
Let's
guys,
go.
There's so many things that have changed in women's health. It's no longer some of the older docs, when you go in and complain about your symptoms and changing, they just pat you in the head and say, get used to it. No, you don't have to get used to it. You can go through menopause and really not an issue.
I hope that's me.
Transition into the next phase of your life, have more energy, be active, and age well. And all of this will really just decrease your risk for heart disease, for thyroid disease.
Jealous.
Yeah, you're jealous. Yeah,
I don't want heart disease. I want to be happy.
I think one of the things we probably need to talk about is hormone replacement therapy, which there's a lot of fear of that, and we can talk about that on another podcast.
Yeah, let's save that.
Yeah.
Let's save that one. I'm gonna have you back. We're gonna have another episode. I'm gonna have you back several times, but the next one I want to dive into hormone replacement therapy. There's a lot of stigmatism on that. It's a lot of negative.
There's
like
a lot of
cancer
negative, right? And we'll go through who should get this and who shouldn't. Breast cancer patients are hesitant about it, but we're learning now there are other medications that can be used for hot flashes in breast cancer patients.
You had told me about a certain hormone that if you've had or a certain therapy that if you've had breast cancer, you do this one instead of that one.
And there's actually a newer one now that it's not an estrogen. It works on the thermoregulator in the brain. It just came out, and it works for hot flashes in breast cancer patients. And also, I was about to say, there are 100,000 women that survive breast cancer each year, and they need quality of life also.
Also, get your mammogram.
Get your mammogram, yes.
Yeah, we're doing it on cancer prevention.
This is breast cancer.
Yeah.
Yes.
But a lot of people now are saying, don't do mammograms. Like when I said I had mine booked, they're like, don't do that. It's so bad. The radiation.
Don't believe it. You don't get enough radiation. And the reason why women are surviving, 100,000 women each year, is because of early detection.
Yeah.
Mammogram, flat out, has saved women's lives.
There are thousands of mammogram people that, the X-ray technicians.
Yes.
They're getting hundreds and hundreds
Sean,
and
you've
hundreds
hit it right.
for you, right?
They're still fine.
They're
That's
still
right.
fine.
Okay, real quick, can we wrap with like maybe talking about your sister and maybe an example of why?
Well, my sister is 59 years old. She kept up with
just straight out the
all
bat, huh?
her mammograms yearly. And, life you get busy, you're working, whatever, and she's pretty busy. And felt a lump, called her nurse practitioner, who took 2 months. Okay, I'm going to tell you guys, ladies, if your doctor or nurse practitioner takes that long, you call and raise hell. No one should put off anyone over 35 for 2 months. They scanned her. They did not. They said, "Oh, you're fine." She's like, "What do you mean I'm fine? I can feel this big lump in my breasts." She then makes another appointment with another facility. It took them 2 months. By the time she got diagnosed, they biopsied her. She had stage 2 aggressive triple negative breast cancer. She's currently going through weekly treatments of chemo, 2 to 3 chemos every week for 6 months. So, I hear every story. Well, hey, the radiation is going to give me cancer. Well, you know what? Would you want to go through 3 chemos every week for 6 months? Just saying.
No.
Right.
But the bottom line is she did get to the bottom of it because she was an advocate for herself.
Correct. That's exactly right. So overall, advocate for yourself. Don't take an answer. When you think something is wrong, you pursue it.
And get your mammogram.
That's right.
Hey, but I'm going to have you on. We're going to have a part 2. You guys in the comments, put any questions you might have for Dr. Paschall. I'm going to have her back and we're going to talk all about hormone replacement, hormone therapy, all that fun stuff. All the fun stuff. So you
vaginal dryness.
Oh, yeah. Bring it on. Let's go.
Hey, but you have been amazing. Thank you so much for taking your time to come down here and help all these ladies, because that's our goal here, is to help as many people as we can feel their absolute best and realize life doesn't have to be miserable as we start aging.
Yeah.
So you guys are awesome. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.